Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about that USAID thing again. We're going to talk about all the dirty little secrets that are coming out, all the dark money that's flowing.
The dark money.
The dark money. And yeah, apparently taxpayers have been bankrolling a lot of crap for years now that they were not aware of, which doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I used to work for a company that was government adjacent, and I'd see these regulations and stuff come in, and I'm like, man, the general public has no idea what is slipping through Washington every single day. I mean, page after page after page of regulations, but a lot of these grants and funding and stuff, they're being exposed now by Doge and Elon Musk and company, and they're getting cut, and the system is screaming, writhing in pain, I think, as the money's being yanked away from them.
It's like, if you were doing everything, on the up and up, then why do you care if there's an audit? They audit us, I mean, well, not us specifically, but people in general.
Oh, they audit all of us. Yeah, we have to answer to them, but they don't have to answer to us, but they're taking our money. How
we thought you had $300 on here that we should got paid for. We're coming after you, but don't you dare look into what we do.
Yeah, so now that it's being looked into, people are shocked that we're going to focus mostly on the media, that so much of the media is being bankrolled or has been bankrolled by the government. Now, it was interesting. I saw yesterday there was an article on CNN that they were screeching about, of course, and they had an AP reporter because, we did the video yesterday talking about Politico and the AP being bankrolled, by this USAID thing, not directly. Apparently it was through subscriptions, but there's a lot of laundering that goes on with these things. We're going to talk about that because we have some inside knowledge, firsthand knowledge of how this works, and people are talking more about it now. But the system is writhing in pain here. We've got this guy from the Associated Press who's like, it's a right-wing conspiracy theory because they didn't get grant money. It's they got the $8 million or whatever. Politico got the $8 million through subscriptions. I'm like, well, it doesn't matter how they got it.
I was seeing that too, and they kept arguing. That's their argument. It's like, well, it doesn't count because they were just paying for subscriptions. And I'm like, how come? And those subscriptions were like, how much per subscription? Like thousands. It's the same thing. You're just funneling it through. That's called laundering. I'm just saying.
Laundering. So let's talk about all the laundering, and the rabbit hole goes pretty deep here, guys. I've got so much. I mean, this is only a day into it, and there's so much coming out, and I'm sure that there are lots of people pouring through every line item looking for specific examples. We're already starting to see that some of this money has gone to things like feminist frequency.
Feminist frequency, yeah. Which was, an anti-Gamergate thing. And we've got apparently people that were looking into 4chan. Let's see what else we got here. I got all over the place here. Yeah. Feminist frequency apparently got $235,000. Yeah. So all you had to do was ask for it, or what?
I think you had to be of the right political persuasion, and they give you grant money. And this is a whole thing. I mean, a lot of these outlets and organizations and the Sweet Baby Inc. types, I think, survive on charitable donations and grants from the government. And I think that whole thing is ending. And somebody made the joke about that guy from the 80s that did the infomercials about like free money from the government. Well, apparently
I forgot about that.
Apparently it was that easy. Apparently it's that easy. Just, money, please. And they just, they give you money. And but they're using it to control people. There are even allegations out. Now, these are allegations. I don't know if anyone has made a concrete connection yet, but there are some left-wing streamers that as of yesterday seemed very nervous about their job security. Why would you? If you have enough legitimate subs and advertisers and sponsors, why would you all of a sudden be nervous about the viability of your platform?
But do you remember when people were getting their advertisers pulled because you said something I don't like, so I'm going to run to the advertisers and complain, and the advertisers are so afraid of them that they would pull their advertising?
Yes. And now that the shoe's on the other foot, now
I know, that's what I'm saying. You know, it was okay, but you had no problem with it when you were the one going out there and trying to cause problems. Look, my thing is, like, when it came to like the journalism and all that stuff, if they're giving out like charitable funding, they do that. Like, you can apply for grants. A lot of people can for different things. If they're giving it out for good reasons, or they're giving it out, you know, they're evenly enforcing it on both sides. Like, you know, that's one thing. But so far, it seems like it's been more, obviously, very far left things.
Yeah,
and
well, that's
the concern.
Right. Well.
Oh yeah, you told me this. Oh my god.
Yeah, this one actually floored me. So apparently, the BBC is being bankrolled in part by U.S. taxpayer money. So guess what? Even if you don't like shitty Doctor Who, you're still paying for shitty Doctor Who.
Well, you have to pay for it over there, and if you don't like shitty Doctor Who, so you know.
Right.
But it's their own thing, so.
It's like, why in the hell? Yeah. So this is the BBC put a statement out. Our statement on USAID funding. A free press is essential to freedom and democracy.
Well, it is. But the thing is, there was no free press. It was, you had to toe a line. Or you were, they tried everything they could to get you shut down.
Yeah, it's free because you don't have to pay for it there, BBC.
Well, that's just it, yeah.
75% of countries around the world do not have a free press. At BBC Media Action, we support local media around the world to deliver trusted information to people most in need. Like many international development organizations, we have been affected by the temporary pause in U.S. government funding. Oh, it's not temporary, sweetheart. They shut the whole office down. It's over. Like they thanked them for their service and they told them to get the hell out of the office. They're done. USAID is done. It was 8% of our income in 2023.
That's not a lot, but still, it's weird.
It's weird that U.S. taxpayers are paying for that much of the BBC. Why?
Just a bit.
Why? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we know they're already in Hurtsville because they're shaking Disney down and making deals and stuff because they're not. And then they're talking. I did the video. You weren't in that one, but how they're looking at Netflix subscribers now, and if you subscribe to Netflix or Disney Plus, they want to hit you with that license tax too. I'm like, why the hell are we paying for the BBC? Why are we?
They're not. Yeah, exactly. But beyond that, even over there, it's not sustainable unless they force people to pay for it.
Yeah, that's it. Nobody willingly pays for the BBC.
I mean, if you can't, there's so many people that have companies and jobs, and if it's not sustainable, they go under. No one, has to be forced to pay for them to stay open, even though they're failing and they just lose money right and left.
I mean, we're spending money on what was it, Sesame Street in Iran?
Yes, I was going to bring.
Iraq
how many millions? How many millions?
Iran,
it was like
that'd be 20. Iraq. Yeah.
It was Iraq. I don't know which one it was, but it was like 20 million. For Sesame, isn't that what it was? 20 million for Sesame Street in another country. I'm like, what are we paying for that? Meanwhile, how many people sat outside in like North Carolina and stuff and didn't have heat and didn't have a place to live, and people in California don't have homes and don't have places to go, and we don't, those people that are in trouble. But that's okay, guys. You need to suffer so we can send a bunch of money to other countries so they can have Sesame Street and DEI programs.
Yeah, and Sesame Street has become a DEI program, by the way, which is infuriating because the original intention of Sesame Street was, I think, a good one. It was to teach underprivileged kids, inner city kids mostly, because they were not quite at the same level that their suburban peers were. And it was actually pretty good. The original Sesame Street, the old school Sesame Street, it was edgy too. Like,
it was diverse as hell.
It was like Bob was the only straight white guy in the show. Well, I guess Mr. Hooper, but but still, it's like, yeah. I mean, it was good. Now they're like, we need black Muppets. I'm like, one, you had the black Muppet, and two, like most of the cast was black. But okay, there's no representation on Sesame Street. Whatever. I
mean, there's a difference between. That's a difference, though. We keep trying to make a point. It's like diversity because it makes sense, and diversity because those people are the best qualified for the job, and those are the characters and people. And the point for its point, it was they were the best people for the job. That's completely fine. If they're the best people for the job, great. The DEI issue is you're just giving jobs people that don't deserve it, have no qualifications for it, and then you're just handing them jobs because you identify as a pink elephant, demisexual, whatever. And, we don't have one of those. Check, and
that's the new Muppet, I'm sure. The
big elephant demisexual. Yeah. And it's just, there's a difference. And I feel bad for people now, because now if you're hired and you legitimately deserve to be there, everybody immediately questions your DEI hire if you aren't white and straight male. And it's complete bullshit. But it is what it is. And it's because of these activist types. But anyway, back to the point.
Well, I mean, the point of this being is that
Reuters too got money?
Yeah, they all get money. NPR, PBS, we knew this. So what I think happened with the media is they basically kind of wrote in, like, because you look at what they originally started with USAID, and it was for, like, hey, feed the hungry children, teach kids to read, that sort of thing, help, rebuild a town that's been, ravaged by hurricanes, except not the ones in the U.S.
Yeah, but all I'm hearing is help these people in other countries, but not the ones in the U.S.
Right.
With your money.
Right. And then it kind of bled out. I think it just, people would keep attaching more and more to it. Oh, by the way, we need to, finance some anti-gamer sites, and we need to also bankroll games. They're actually bankrolling games. They found some proof that they were bankrolling mobile apps. Now, these were like educational, but again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We don't know how far down this thing goes. Like, it might turn out that it's just like, oh my God, like everything has been bankrolled by taxpayer money. We just
some of these things, though, if they're educational and they're over here, I can see some of the grant money, because they do use grant money a lot of times to develop programs, like Sesame Street. Here, yeah. I can understand, because it was originally its intention was for, underprivileged kids and stuff here. And I can get it if they're developing stuff here like that. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with, if they're putting politics into it, or if they're sending all our money someplace else, for a game.
Yeah, so they had their own Medium page and everything. You can kind of go there and you see that. Yeah, here's one that teaches teenage girls about menstruation or something. I don't know.
But not here.
In India. Okay,
why? Why are we paying for that?
That's a good question. I'm sure Indian women would like to learn about menstruation. It's not really American taxpayers' jobs to teach foreign women about menstruation. Like, these are ones that make sense. Okay, air quality for just women's health. Why is it just women's health?
I don't know, because you get more money if you put more money if you put a woman in it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what it is. It's like
There's one for you. He fought the fiery serpent every day.
Oh my God. So this is what's this one? Accelerating action to have the gender digital divide by 2030. We're working to ensure equitable, affordable, and safe access to digital technology for women. It just goes on and on. I mean, some of these make sense. And other ones, I'm just like, okay, so they're sneaking bullshit into this, and they're attaching it, and this is grant money and stuff like that, and that's the whole thing. There are people that their jobs are basically how to write grants.
Yes, they do. You have jobs. You get hired. They hire grant writers to go get out to get as much money as possible.
Well, let's just stop giving out grants.
I know. But what I want to talk about is how this is impacting, like, advertising and things like that, because earlier today, what started this whole discussion that we're talking about in this video was much earlier today. Yes. Kneon was talking about some stuff that he got a letter from one of our advertisers.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. And they're basically like, well, advertising's pretty much screwed, so you're on your own. But basically, go find supporters, go take memberships, whatever. But, do it through us so we get a cut.
Yeah, that was the gist of it.
Kiss my ass.
They tried to make it sound better. Now, we are, those of you who know, we've got multiple websites. Some of them you know about, some of them you don't know about, whatever. And we've talked about the advertising rates and how they bottomed out in the last year, especially since Google changed the algorithm, which this is the first time that network has actually acknowledged that Google just fucked everybody over. Like, they haven't acknowledged it until now. And
yeah, but we've been saying it. We've been telling you guys that Google has gone, and we keep seeing everybody getting mad about certain things, and we're like, where is the outrage? Where are the hearings about the fact that Google literally just put out thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of blocks because they wanted to keep the money.
Right. And so they were like, okay, well, it's going to be a huge challenge, guys, but we're going to be here. We're going to work with you. And, you might need to lean into your audience a little bit more. But this is a year that the creators take the internet back. And we might have to rethink the landscape of how to monetize or whatever. But our ad network, so we got a story here because our ad network is actually one of the bigger ad networks. So the one that we use, we've got multiple. This particular ad network, though, I know for a fact is actually used by sites like Axios and some of the bigger left-wing media sites. Mm-hmm. Now, we've talked about this before, and people just kind of like, yeah. They don't realize how far down the rabbit hole goes. Back in 2021, I want to say 2020 or 2021, our beloved ad network sent a memo out to everybody letting them know that they had secured a third-party auditing service, which I think was probably funded by something like USA because it was, definitely like a nonprofit watchdog group. And they were going to go through and keep tabs on all of the websites in the network to make sure there wasn't any problematic or hateful
misinformation.
Yes. Don't you talk about the vaccine. Can't talk about that.
You can't talk about things that might hurt people's feelings. Yeah, there was a whole thing about it. We've talked about it in other videos previous, but prior to this one.
And what it takes is like, we talk about it, people don't get it until like 10 other people talk about it, and they're like, oh, now it's suddenly news. Oh my God.
Well, maybe it's because everything makes more sense when,
I think that's it. I think it's really inside baseball. This guy was on Tucker Carlson, I guess, and he broke it down.
Yeah, so weird. We were just talking about this morning, and then you're like, oh my gosh, someone just went on Tucker Carlson and said we were going to do a video on. And I was like, well, at least that's verification, validation.
Yeah, it is. And he was talking about how, there's a lot of talk about, advertising, because that's how they get you. If they can't deplatform you directly, they will control the advertising, so you will comply.
Exactly.
And that's what they were doing. So, they actually had, like, you go into your dashboard and you could see your site audit. And if there were any problematic pages, they'd be like, well, we can't run ads on this or whatever. And we have issues, and we had one writer in particular that wanted to butt right up against the rules, even though they were told repeatedly not to, and that caused us some friction with the ad network. But it was touch and go there for a while. It was like, they were like, this is how we're going to control people that aren't on platforms that we can get them deplatformed from. We will just, put the pressure on their pocketbook, and they're going to comply because you got writers to pay, right? I mean,
well, it's kind of like with conventions. You don't want Vic Mignogna there, so I'm going to go to the payment processor and complain so that
yes.
And that's what they tried to do.
Yeah, and
because they're sleazy people.
And these kinds of organizations, these watchdog organizations, stuff, I guarantee you that they're bankrolled with taxpayer money. So it's. Yeah, I mean, basically the left-wing part of our beloved country has been using taxpayer money as their personal piggy bank, and then also using it to keep control and extort. I mean, I think we're going to see the collapse of so many media outlets and so much that we can't even fathom at this point. Like, I think the whole house of cards is going to come down.
Especially, they're being propped up.
We're talking within a day, you've got streamers freaking out, multiple media outlets freaking out. Politico, apparently, they're saying, oh, it was a payment glitch. I don't believe that. I think they were freaking out because they're like, oh, shit, we're not getting that government money anymore. And I know how that works because, I said at the beginning of the video that I used to work for a government adjacent company. And I actually worked for a Democratic senator, right? And his son ran it, and they ran it from Washington. And we worked in Pennsylvania, but they ran it from Washington. And they basically sold government information back to the government, and taxpayers paid for it.
Yeah,
and
well, basically they did was they get the regulations, put it into English that people can understand, and then sell it back to them so they could look it up quickly. And
It was like, yeah, because the government, like, they were so damn lazy that their own, that the Code of Federal Regulations, CFRs, were not in a format that at the time were easily searchable. And they were not in plain English. They were written in legalese. And so normal people couldn't understand what the hell was being talked about, which is how a lot of this shit gets through. I'm going to be honest. What happens is they'll put a bill through, they'll attach a bunch of garbage to it. And a lot of our beloved congressmen and women aren't frankly intelligent enough or versed enough to understand what the hell is being talked about. So they just,
or they don't get enough time to go through it. Like, here's like an 800-page document. We're voting on it in, like, tomorrow.
Yeah, and that has happened. That actually did happen. And they'll stuff this crap in the back of it. And I used to just, for fun, I guess, because I was, research guy, marketing guy, whatever. I'd go through and I'd look at some of this stuff. I'm like, God, this is ridiculous. Why do we need a law about this? But the stuff that gets passed, every day, the government had to pay an outside service just to make sense of their own regulations. And taxpayer money paid for that. And that's where all the revenue came from. And this company was in business since like the 70s. And they made millions and millions of dollars a year. And we're one of many, 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 many companies that were doing it. So it's like, yeah, how much bullshit and fluff. And look, everybody knows it. Like, everybody knows it, but I don't think they understand that it's also trickling into the private sector, into the media that they consume. It's not just like, government contract stuff or, foreign aid or anything like that. It's like actually like the nightly news, the video games, the everything. Like, it's all being tainted with the misuse of taxpayer money. If this doesn't get you mad as hell, if this doesn't make you mad as hell, I don't know what to tell you. There's people you can show them like this is the level of corruption of our government. This is you guys have been lied to, you've been swindled, and they're still going to deny it.
No, yeah, they're just like,
it's a right-wing conspiracy.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, okay.
So good luck with that. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think we're going to see so many websites collapse. I think we're going to see other media outlets collapse. I think we're going to see.
But it's just all building upon what we've been telling you has been going on. It's just that now it's coming. It's just it's all coming to light. But it's like everything we thought was it's confirmation of things we thought was already going on, but we didn't have proof of it. But we figured
your spider sense goes off, right? Especially when you've been doing this as long as we have, and
they start having these groups come out to audit you to make sure that you're saying no misinformation and stuff.
No misinformation. That is some Gestapo.
It'd be a real shame if you can't get paid for your views because you said some misinformation.
No, that's basically what would happen.
I know. That's why I know.
They'd always send some like he, him, they, them, or whatever to write a nice friendly email to be like, hey guys, just so you know, we've got our terms of service. And maybe you just want to rein it in a little bit. There's certain things in certain articles that, advertisers aren't real comfortable with. Maybe you shouldn't talk about guns, or maybe you shouldn't talk about, pharmaceutical products, or maybe you shouldn't criticize the government at all.
Yeah.
It'd be a real shame.
Don't make Disney cry.
Don't make Disney cry. Yeah. Actually, it's weird. Everybody's like, oh, Disney did this, Disney did that. And I'm like, it's weird. We haven't had too many issues with Disney. We've had issues with other studios. But yeah, Disney, we really didn't have much of an issue with. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't personally think they're going around striking a bunch of channels. Some people are
looking. No, they were going to. They would be one of the first ones they go after because they actually they watch us.
Literally, yes. They literally knew who we were.
They know. Trust me.
This is the weirdest damn thing. I don't think people realize. And I talked about it on, I did that one podcast with Peter Pischke, but we were literally doing Clownfish TV, making fun of Galaxy's Edge while Disney flew us in to promote Galaxy's Edge at Celebration 2019. And we were hanging out in the Disney room. We're eating with Disney people. But some of the people there knew who we were.
They know who we are. But, and they don't come after us. They usually leave us pretty much alone. So, but I didn't know anybody was getting harassed by Disney. But
I don't know. People are like, well, it must be Disney striking this. It's like, I don't believe that for a minute. I think there's something else going on. Would they maybe? But I've seen Paramount be more vicious. We know for a fact.
DreamWorks is terrible.
DreamWorks was not. Yeah, the She-Ra thing. That was a fiasco.
They did. They would deliberately try to block any video we do when they have a trailer or anything come down. They wouldn't block other people, but they'd copyright strike ours to get it taken down, and then release it like, a week or so later. So they were trying to do damage control by shutting us up. Didn't work. We just make another video that they couldn't strike, and we go from there. But
yeah, so we'll see. But I'm really curious about, along those lines here before we wrap it up, though, is all these left-wing, the bread tubers, because I'm gonna be honest, the only thing that makes sense to me, because a lot of these people are millionaires, right? And I'm like, a lot of them come from wealthy families or champagne socialists or whatever. But I'm like, your audience are a bunch of communists, broke ass Marxists.
I know. What do you think they're gonna do?
Right? Like, they're not going to be shelling out, millions of dollars or whatever. But yeah, the one guy was at Vaush. I don't know if you saw the clip or not, but he was like freaking out yesterday because he's like, well, just so you know, YouTube could snap my channel tomorrow. And so if I'm a little more beggy and a little more,
why would they though? That's what I don't understand.
They wouldn't. Actually, what people seem to think. I mean, this is speculation. I don't know for sure. People are looking into it more. But they think that some of these YouTubers have actually been, or not YouTubers, mostly Twitch streamers, have been propped up because Twitch has gotten weirdly political in the last, it's been a while, but at least the last 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Like all the gamers have been driven away from Twitch. You can only have one train of thought on Twitch. It has to be. And we know that they do try to bribe influencers because the Harris campaign tried to bribe us. Which I'm like, they
wouldn't call it a bribe. They call it
it was a sponsorship.
An ad sponsorship, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. They launder but it was through a pack, and they approached us over the summer. I'm like, do you watch our channel? Do you really think our audience is, do you really think our audience is going to be receptive?
We're normally political. We're only bringing it up to hear it because it relates to, media and YouTube and, Twitch and blogs and things we talk about on a normal basis. Right. Otherwise, we don't really talk about it because we're not super political here.
No, but the problem is that we're finding out that this might be, I guess that's the theory of everything as we wrap it up here. The theory of everything is that the reason the media has gotten so hyper political and the gaming space has gotten so hyper political, and I guarantee it's going to come out that it's been in animation and maybe in comics and
no movies. Doubt.
It's because of this government funding being pushed in that direction.
I wonder if Transparency Tube had gotten money from this. That's what.
Oh, that thing? I can almost guarantee. That just feels like something. Transparency Tube, for those of you who don't remember, and I don't even think it's around anymore.
I don't know if it is.
They were trying to basically round us all up and put us in one place.
They basically would have their people who were all on Twitter at the time, pre-Elon Musk Twitter, so very very far left, blue sky basically. They would be the ones who would vet your content and decide where you lean and how you identify politically. Even though we kept saying that's not how we identify politically, kept telling them, are you looking for it?
I'm looking for it. I'm trying to see if it's.
And then we kept telling them that's not how they refused. They refused to take it down, even though we kept saying you're misidentifying us. We're centrist. Are they still there?
It's still there. I don't think it's being updated though.
No, they said it hasn't been refreshed since 2022.
Yeah. So this whole thing, this was a whole fiasco. They were basically trying to be like, oh look, these are all the nonpartisan channels, and then these are all the right wingers. And I actually complained because I'm like, what the hell?
We wanted to be taken off of it. We said, take us off of it. You don't have our permission to put. No, we're leaving you on here. And we decided. We decided. Yeah, we were anti-woke. Okay, that's true. Anti-woke is probably true.
Everybody's anti-woke.
They also had us listed as other stuff. We weren't. Right. We weren't on the right.
Yeah, because I actually complained. Right wing and anti-woke.
We weren't on the right, though. We kept telling them, actually, we're center left. No, our people decided. We talk about cartoons and shit.
Yeah, they were basically trying to get us all in, whoever they thought was going to be a pain in the ass. They're trying to get everybody into one place where they could kind of point the crazies in that direction. And then
you remember, you have to respect how everybody identifies, except for, respecting how we do. We have to respect how they identify. But we tell them repeatedly we weren't Republicans, we weren't on the right, and they still put us there because their people decided. So, because they said, I'm like, well, I'm not allowed to tell you you're a dude if you say you're a woman because you just said you're a dude. Or wait, yeah, whatever you are, I'm Stone Cold Medicine. You know what I mean? I'm not allowed to say to you, you identify as a woman and I call you a man. That which I wouldn't anyway. If you told me you wanted to prefer to be called a woman because whatever. But you tell me, I tell you, I'm not on the right and the alt-right, and you can continue to identify me that way, even though that's not how I identify.
I actually I remember I tried to contact this Mark Ledwich.
You did, I remember.
He wouldn't respond to me, and he was
at first they were like, we had our people go over it, and
people.
Yeah, well, they said it was the time it was like they were on Twitter and stuff, and they said that that's what they determined, and I'm like, well, screw you.
Then we also wound up on that stupid, and I wonder if that rewriting Ripley thing, like if they got some like female science fiction Stan Grant or some dumb shit like that, because I have a really hard time. I mean, this is what always fried my circuits about this thing is we had people that were like absolutely obsessed with attacking YouTubers. And it's like, why are they doing this? Nobody in their right mind is going to spend that much time attacking YouTubers if there's nothing in it for them. And now we're starting to see, oh, look, some of these people are getting paid, right?
Oh, yeah, because you discredit the people that people are listening to.
Right. So how many of these people that their entire personality was trying to take down dissenting voices, how many of them were being paid with taxpayer money? Being, pushed from one organization to another and, laundered. That's a really good question. I would love to know. It's probably going to take months and months to sort through all this stuff, but it's going to be really interesting. It would be really interesting to come out and be like, oh, hey, that's so-and-so. We haven't heard about them in a long time. Oh, look, they got a grant from a whatever organization that got their money from USAID, and now it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. Now everything actually makes sense, because I always felt like we're missing something. Like, what are we missing? What's the glue here? And money talks, right? So we're going to wrap this up.
Yes.
Let's wrap it up. Okay, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.